G650 cross country. So this is my boss's bike. He was kind enough to let me use it while the Bismarck is out of commission. Went through some pretty heavy rain on a ride down to Kings Canyon, Sequoia National Park, and got caught in some really heavy rain, and it stopped working, and I lost spark, and I don't know what the hell happened. I think it might be the hall sensor. We'll have to see. So rather than let me use a demo bike overnight and park it street parking, he said, hey, just take my bike. So now I'm on this monstrosity of a 650. It's pretty awesome, actually, I won't lie. You know, everyone bitches about how little power these things have, and oh my god, it's gutless, and blah, blah, blah. I came off an F650 GS, and, you know, I know what that's like, and I tend to agree with some of those complaints, but I think they kind of refine this a little bit. I mean, maybe it's just the Remus, or the, sorry, not the Remus, the Akrapovic exhaust on this that makes it sound a little beefier. But, you know, coming back from work on the highway, you know, it wasn't struggling to stay 80 miles per hour. I wonder if my F650 had some issues that actually was keeping it from getting up to speed. I'm also wondering if this is geared differently. I'll just annotate it. I'll ask my boss when I get back. I love the thumper. I do miss that sound. I won't lie. So what's different about this bike? Even different, more so than other cross countries. I believe the front end is a cross challenge front end. So the suspension is totally different. He's got a bigger tank on the side. I forget the brand of it, but basically that extends his range a lot further. I think there's a few other mods here and there that make it just a little nicer in general. This thing really doesn't have a whole lot of horses to it. It's still got a sufficient amount of torque, and you are totally going to make me crash my boss's bike. Okay. That's one thing I'd like to mention too, is like maybe I'm just not grabbing the front brake wheel on this, or I'm not used to how this is braking, but I'm pretty sure this is a single disc front, and it really isn't a huge braking machine. Still got ABS, which is easy to turn off on most GS bikes. Even with the wide handlebars of a kind of dual sport bike, this is way thinner than my R1150 GS. Those are just wide bikes with the boxer engine sticking out. And so one thing right out the bat I noticed on this versus the F650 GS that I used to have, which is a 2001, everything on this is a lot more refined, a lot better put together. It's not some Aprilia mashup kind of thing. Everything on the F650 just wanted to brake all the time, and it was all kind of flimsy and fragile, and this seems like it's pretty well built. It's still got this little blinker thing, which is pretty standard in every bike, and I know I'm totally pampered with the paddles. I know some people don't like those, but it's just a matter of time. When you use them, you get used to them, and you're like, damn, this is way better. So let's talk about the kind of lesser known factors of bikes. This thing's got a lot of character to it, surprisingly. There's something very unique about it, and I think with the suspension setup and everything, all it wants to do is go off-road, I think, which I have not done, and I will not do unless my boss explicitly says, hey, take it off-road, which I doubt will happen. Right now he's got Aniki 3s on it, so it's not super dirt worthy in that sense. You know, it's capable of dirt roads and stuff, but I will say that the suspension setup on this definitely feels like a lot more like a dirt bike in a sense. That sound. It's just funny because like you get all that grunting and there's like no power behind it. So like every other BMW gearbox, it's pretty clunky. That's pretty standard. I kind of like that, personally. It's very obvious when you switch gears. I think just, being on BMW bikes often, I get used to it, and that's just a personal preference. I know a lot of guys like the Japanese gearboxes that are super smooth and, oh my god, shifting is so easy. Well, it's like, all right, whatever. I prefer the big clunk tractor agricultural transmission. So he brought this to a place in San Francisco called Super Plush, which is a company that does a bunch of custom suspension and everything. He's got this set up pretty damn well, I can tell. I don't know how much he weighs. I weigh 140 something, like basically 150. And so I'm a light dude, and I think he might be too. But we seem to match in terms of how the suspension is set up for each other. Just to give my boss some street cred too, I know he's got pretty much anything available to him in terms of bikes, and he chose this. And you're probably wondering why. He used to ride HP2 Megamoto, so he's still cool, I promise. He's probably watching this and going like, hey! But yeah, no, it's just a really interesting bike, and I think that's probably why he picked it up. And, he knows it's pretty underwhelming in terms of power. But that's not the point of this bike. I mean, he's got the racks on it for luggage and everything. And, the whole idea behind it was to have a bike that's super capable of going on and off-road. More so than the bigger, 1200s, because it's a lot lighter. It's also very easy to flat foot. It's a little safer in that sense for someone who might not be as tall. Sorry this video doesn't have a whole lot of content. I'm just excited to be in a different bike. What's the final verdict on it? I mean, I'm not a convert, I'm not going to be like, hey, I need to buy this bike. But if I had the ability to have more than one bike, I'd definitely consider it. It's pretty fun. Speaking of, I might be getting another F650 GS, not actually buying one. I promise you I never pay for one again, but that might be a project bike too, and I might be flipping that, so we'll see how that goes. I'm pretty excited about that, just to have a project bike more than anything. Another news, I'm testing out these Climb Long Adventure gloves. I just got them yesterday, so we'll see how these go. So far, I'm kind of liking them. I just sold my Revit RS R2 gloves to a guy last night at Treasure Island, and he was super cool, and we talked for 2 hours. It's usually not how Craigslist deals go, but he was really cool. He was on a street triple, and yeah, and I also have these Climb Badlands pants that I just got as well, and so far I'm really liking them too. They're definitely not a commuter pant in the same sense that the overpants are, but so far I'm really liking them. So hopefully you'll see some reviews on those too. And almost at work, thanks for joining me. Stay tuned for some rides as well as a bunch of reviews coming up. I got so many reviews planned and not a lot of time. So take care everyone, and ride safe.